Well, the Overwatch beta is now over with, and I now have a whole week to fill the Overwatch-shaped hole in my Overwatch-shaped heart, and I'm not ready to put $60 down for Battleborn just yet. Thankfully, 2016 is shaping up to be Year of the Hero Shooter, and I have another beta to play in the interim. Shoutouts to Frumblefoot89 for the beta key. Shine on, dude. This is Paladins, Champions of the Realm, by Hi-Rez Studios, who previously brought you Smite. I've actually been playing Smite for a few years now, and I'm a big fan of it, so I was curious to see what they could bring to the increasingly popular hero shooter genre. Paladins showcases a bright and cartoony style that's become expected of the hero shooter genre. The champions share a sort of fantasy, sci-fi, hybrid design scheme that seems like a neat idea, but I don't feel like this theme is very well enforced in neither its heroes nor its environments. The 3 maps I played on don't feel like a world where magic and technology have blended. They just feel like indistinct fantasy backdrops. The hero designs feel like they're only hitting the bare minimum of conveying what they are supposed to be, but is otherwise lacking any real sort of identity. I could swap the weapons of this archer girl and this rogue girl, and you'd never know that something was off. Few of the designs really embody the fantasy sci-fi aspect that should be the game's selling point, and, like the environment, the sci-fi elements just feel slapped on, and doesn't enhance or characterize the heroes in any way. It just feels like there's a real lack of inspiration here, and that Paladins only really mirrors concepts that have been done before, but without any of the context that makes them work. The only champions I only really ended up liking were Ying, because she's really cute and her playstyle is interesting, and Fernando, because... oh, just look at this charming stallion. This guy just bleeds charisma. Actually, everything about his design succeeds where the rest of the designs fail. He's got just the right balance of knight in shining armor and high-tech warrior that even if you took away his weapons, he'd still look like himself. In fact, the success of Fernando's design also highlights another weakness of the game's art, and that is that it lacks character and personality. Even with a lack of voiceover lines, which I imagine will be fixed as more assets are created, there's nothing about these champions' looks, animations, or expressions that really tells me anything about them. Except Fernando. I don't want to keep drawing comparisons to Overwatch and Battleborn, but in lieu of Paladin's lack of charm, I have no choice but to defer to the characters whom Paladin's cast mostly resemble. Cassie and Thorn are both archer chicks, for instance, but Thorn has the expressions, gestures, and voice of a fierce huntress of the wild, where Cassie is just... a girl. The lack of character substance might be Paladin's largest flaw at this moment in time. The reason hero shooters became popular is because they have characters who are identified by their personality, culture, or humor, and currently this cast offers none of that. Except Fernando. Paladins is a 5v5 shooter with 3 game modes, but I was only really able to play the combined capture and payload mode because, well, the beta player pool is probably really small and no one is queuing up for survival. Instead of trading attack and defense roles, teams instead fight for a single capture point, which then deploys a payload that you must escort into the enemy base to earn points toward the round, with the winner decided by the first team to 9 points. A creative twist on the popular payload model, but that's about where the creativity ends. The maps in this mode are modular and designed around 3 different capture points with 3 different payload paths. The problem is, the arenas are virtually unchanged despite the new objective locations. As a result, the maps don't feel optimized for payload gameplay, as the payload paths don't feel like they have natural progression or any defined staging zones. It just feels like walking a cart through a nondescript jungle until you hit the enemy base, and players can just roam anywhere they want on the map. The rules aren't very clear on how to move or contest the payload. Sometimes the payload will just roll off on its own without anyone standing near it. Sometimes it will just sit in place without anyone to push it. I had a payload pushing into my base and I was no more than 5 feet away from it, but wasn't considered contesting it, so it just rolled an inch and completed its objective. I feel like having 3 different smaller maps with dedicated linear paths would have made for a more compelling payload experience, rather than attempting a single modular map with no defined paths. There's a few smaller things like a surprising lack of announcer sound cues for a round starting or for important objective events, and a nearly invisible damage indicator that made it really difficult to figure out what's going on in battle. But this is a beta, and that could easily be corrected over time. The combat feels average at best. Heroes come equipped with a primary weapon, a couple of skills, a dedicated movement and CC cleanse, an ultimate ability, and a mount for traversing the map quickly out of combat. Heroes don't have defined roles, and are instead defined by their strengths and abilities like healing, deployables, or deception. But the primary weapons don't feel like they have specialized uses, and crowd control means nothing because every hero has a built-in cleanse. For instance, the archer's bow and the alchemist's grenade gun feel like they do about the same damage. In fact, the bow can't even be charged for more damage and accuracy, and why does it have a reload? Nearly every game I played had someone playing the turret dwarf, but I could barely feel the impact his turrets had on a game. Here, watch this stealth hero literally unstealth in front of a turret to kill me and then leave like she doesn't even care. And this sniper rifle doesn't really reward accuracy since body shots deal a good enough amount of damage, and her ultimate literally encourages her to make body shots, so there's no need to be accurate with a sniper rifle. Speaking of which, ultimates, the one skill that ought to define a character and solidify their worth on a team, feel extremely underwhelming. Cassie can spend a whole round landing good shots to build up her ultimate meter, only for her to unleash a vicious scouting bird to reveal enemies and slightly increase her damage. Wait, what? Ultimate should be about big plays, a massive skill that, when well played, can turn a whole game around. In fact, I've never once felt in my time playing that anyone ever made a big play, or that there were any opportunities to make a big play. And without a game-changing ultimate, the matches just come and go with no hype. Having no strong ultimates to turn games around also outlines a balancing problem, which is the burn cards that serve as this game's equipment. During the game, you can earn credits for scoring kills or achieving objectives, like capturing points or pushing or contesting payloads. You can spend credits at your base to purchase up to 3 burn cards that grant you various passive benefits for the round, but must be repurchased every round. This means that a team that wins one round will start with a massive stack of credits at the start of the next round, and since there's nothing else to spend credits on other than burn cards, it means that the winning team gets to start the next round with a full set of burn cards while the losing team starts from scratch. And since there's no ultimates that you can drop to stage a big comeback, the losing team just has to fight against an enemy team of heroes who are statistically better than them. As for progression, there are loot crates that drop cards for customizing your hero's abilities. Which sounds nice, but I got like 5 chests, and none of them dropped a single card for a champion I played, so the odds are actually extremely high for getting a chest that has nothing I want, and will help me advance in any way. Yes, I know Overwatch also has loot crates, and they also have the odds of dropping nothing that you want, but at least those are purely cosmetic items. These are actual stat-boosting cards that could help you advance and make more advanced decks. So gaining levels in this sense does not make me feel at all stronger when it rightfully should. Overall, Paladins just feels extremely underwhelming. The gameplay isn't thrilling enough, the presentation isn't hype enough, and the characters aren't cool enough. Except Fernando. Hopefully the game is still early on, and Hi-Rez can give these characters another pass to help them feel unique and bring out some personality, and... man, I just wish Fernando was in a cooler game. Oh, he is! Oh man, I don't play Ares. And that's my beta impressions for Paladins. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it, or if there's any other game content you'd like me to talk about. Be sure to check out our regular show, SugarPunch Harm Reviews, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm A.B.I., and I have still got a week to purge everything about this game from my mind. Except Fernando.